A surreptitious environmental catastrophe, the desert will win. Environmental catastrophes and all other related evils such as climatic changes, destruction of the ozone layer, water pollution, famines, energy shortages, epidemics, disease, xenophobia, racism, discrimination against women, child abuse, torture of animals, discord among mankind, war and crime, etc., have been predestined to occur for many decades now. To what can all of these disasters really be attributed, however? Indisputably, their sole and exclusive cause is mankind's swiftly opposing, continuously growing overpopulation problem, for it subsequently forces an increased need for everything one can imagine. This steadily escalating demand for greater production results in increasingly greater, endless, insurmountable disasters. Insurmountable, since remedial efforts to resolve each problem are usually only very half-hearted in order to enable politicians, the industrial leaders and others to preserve their positions. Additionally, these people are given immense funds which, of course, they funnel into their own pockets. Likewise, attempts to alleviate environmental ills are usually nothing more than senseless efforts to combat the symptoms of the situation and are nothing more than an exercise in futility, for none of the adversities are cut out at the root and destroyed. Instead, the symptoms are merely apathetically attacked in a lackluster manner to keep up pretenses for the public. Thus, much more serious adversities in both the near and distant future are predestined to occur in every way even today. The same also holds true for famines, which for many decades and centuries have repeatedly reeled across the earth. In the future they will become more devastating due to the incessant increases in population, which, above all else, is the source of every terrestrial adversity and catastrophe. This disaster must be curtailed through a worldwide, relentless program to halt births, and then be diminished through intentional and international global birth control, until the human population of roughly 529 million people is re-established, a population that is compatible with the planet's size and with nature. Due to the insanity of the terrestrials, who reproduce uncontrollably like rabbits, catastrophes of every type are now predestined to occur in the near and distant future, and the Earth's desertification must be included in the scenario. Increasingly more farmland, pastures and forests throughout every country on Earth are converted into sterile wastelands. Today, 70% of the dry regions in the world have degenerated into desert. This amounts to more than 3.6 billion hectares, 8.6 billion acres. More than 1.2 billion people today are threatened with starvation, that is 1 out of every 5. Not only are approximately 300 million people actually suffering from hunger or facing forced emigration, but the land upon which they live is becoming wasteland due to the encroachment of deserts into semi-arid regions that they still utilize. The striking fact is, the transformation of arable land into deserts and arid regions is one of the biggest and gravest environmental catastrophes on Earth today. The resulting ramifications must be taken very, very seriously. Frequently, however, scientists and laymen alike have totally erroneous notions regarding these matters. This is simply not the case where deserts are forming through gigantic, encroaching sand dunes that forcibly bury fertile land beneath them. An erroneous belief, for example, is that the Sahara Desert's front moves southward annually across Africa more or less from Senegal to Ethiopia. Deserts have always spread over periodic intervals, of course, particularly during times of extreme drought. When adequate precipitation is available, however, a reversal automatically occurs. Both are completely natural phenomena that have prevailed for as long as the deserts have existed. Still, desertification is a completely different phenomenon entirely. In this case, totally new deserts and arid regions emerge through the desertification, whereby normally mostly dry, yet otherwise still productive semi-arid regions completely dry out and turn to sand, etc. The process, however, is not restricted to the Gobi Desert, the Sahara or other vast desert regions. Desertification, that is the formation of new deserts, also occurs for instance in Bulgaria, Romania and the south of Spain and Turkey. These are but four of nearly 100 countries where more arable land is increasingly turning into deserts and arid regions. The most severe threat in this regard prevails in Asia as a result of this region's high population density, which incessantly continues to increase. The desertification process, however, is the farthest advanced in Africa. The ensuing global annual damage from desertification alone is immense and is estimated at about $45 billion. $22 billion of that damage occurs in Asia, approximately $10 billion in Africa, $6 billion in North America, $3 billion each in Australia and South America. Indeed, even Europe must reckon with damage estimated at over $1 billion. Naturally, droughts and other climatic influences foster the formation of deserts and arid regions. And yet, the principal cause for the formation of deserts and arid regions in many areas of the world rests primarily and fundamentally with human beings themselves, for they not only criminally and carelessly drive their populations to dizzying levels, but they destroy the land by forcibly increasing food production to feed the incessantly growing human masses. In doing so, they completely leach the ground and deplete it of all its nutrients, without allowing the soil to revive itself or be regenerated artificially with the necessary energy that was also extracted, leaving the ground completely exhausted. The situation, therefore, is not remedied by artificially introducing new nutrients, because the soil also requires natural forces that man cannot restore. In the long run, much more is extracted from the soil than can ever be replaced. The soil virtually dies, and this leads to the development of desert wastelands. Behind the human crime of extensive desertification and destruction of nature lurks purely unscrupulous, irresponsible greed. This is especially evident in Argentina, for example, where vast areas are leased for short time periods to large-scale farming enterprises. To maximize their profits, they utilize, by hook and by crook, every possible means, including those forbidden in and harmful to nature, leaving the land a totally leached-out desert or arid wasteland only a few years later. When scrutinizing Africa, evidence shows that the immense overpopulation wields its destructive influence here as well. However, the general poverty on Earth is probably greatest in Africa, a result of the exploitation of this continent and its inhabitants largely by the white industrialized welfare states. As a result, large portions of the African population have been forced to extract maximum yields from depleted soil simply to remain alive. Subsequently, the soil has become overdepleted, which has led to the total draining of its nutrients and its death.